Welcome back to Rav Pinson's podcast, where ancient wisdom meets modern man. Today's episode was sponsored by Avraham ben Moshe in honor of a refuah shalema ukreva for his father. Today's episode is part 2 in a special Sukkot edition Q&A and the 7th in our Q&A series.
Okay, so we're approaching Hoshanah Rabbah.
Yeah.
Seems rather mysterious. It's not even mentioned in the teachings of the sages. What is Hoshanah Rabbah? What's it all about?
Okay, so this is when you say that wasn't mentioned in the sages, it's true. Like that it's a time. We say that Hoshanah Rabbah, the Zohar says that Hoshanah Rabbah is a time of din, a time of like the final judgment. It's the chaysim l'tim chaysim. It's like the seal beyond the seal, the Gemara Chasima, the final seal. Therefore, it's a day of tshuva. It's a very serious time, and it's a very holy time, and things that we have to do certain practices. So it's mentioned in the Zohar. It is mentioned in the Zohar, and it's not mentioned in the Bava Yerushalmi, not in our Gemaras that we have, but there is an allusion to this. The Yerushalmi talks about Hoshanah Rabbah. It seems to be that the Jerusalem Talmud actually mentions some idea of that. Why it's not mentioned? Why don't the sages say clearly that Hoshanah Rabbah is a time to people say Tehillim, people say the Book of Psalms, they read the Torah, Devarim. Yemaro is something else. That's what I'm talking about. It's a Yemadin. It's a Yemadin. That's a day of judgment. How come it doesn't mention? So again, there's a simple reason for that. The simple reason, the way some other great sages and contemporary sages said, the reason for that is because not to tamper the simcha of the day. Because Torah day, according to the Torah law, it's a day of joy. So now you have Yom Adin, so Chazal kept it secret. But we're going to talk about a little bit on a more inner, deeper level, more pneumistic level to understand this process. What's this hidden holiday? What's this hidden day? So there's like this. The entire process from Rosh Hashanah until the end, the final day, which is Shmini Atzeres, the 8th day, and in the diaspora it's Simchas Torah, so that's the 8th day of Sukkot, or it's Chag Matzah, it's also a day in its own, but Shmini Atzeres or Simchas Torah is a process of going from estrangement to unity. What does that mean? Which means it's our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our relationship with the Creator, with Hashem. And the process is on a deeper level. Now, we did this the year before. We did it on one level. But it's like a renewal of a deeper relationship that we're having. Like every time, just like you think about it in terms of a marriage, a person's married, you in order for the marriage to be fresh and to be panim al panim, to have really a face-to-face relationship with your spouse, there has to be a growth in the relationship. You can't say, I met you when I was 20 and we're the same, but now you're 50. So the relationship has to grow, it has to deepen. Every year there has to be a deeper commitment. So the process of Rosh Hashanah is like this. Rosh Hashanah is sort of this idea of the Tanayim. Rosh Hashanah is like the engagement. What does it mean, the engagement? Rosh Hashanah, basically, a person comes to himself, a person understands and says, you know what, this year, I want to have a relationship with you. I want to be in dialogue with you. I want to be in conversation. I want to have a relationship with God. I want to have a deeper relationship with you, and I'm committed. I'm committed to be entered into this deeper relationship. It's a commitment of that we're going to get married, and everyone feels this on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is a certain sense. No matter how estranged a person is, how they live their life throughout the entire year, something happens at Rosh Hashanah during the sound of the shofar that even people that really live very detached life from Torah mitzvahs, a very detached life from spiritual practice, there's some type of awakening that says, it doesn't necessarily it's going to translate, but there's some type of awakening during Rosh Hashanah, this time period, that says, you know what, this year maybe I should actually have a relationship. I should go a little bit deeper. This is Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur represents the time of marriage. So the way the sages, the Chazal tell us, is B'yom Chasanas is Umat Torah. The The day of the marriage is considered a Matan Torah, and it says Luchas Shnias. That's Rashi says Luchas Shnias. The second Luchas, which is Yom Kippur, the second tablets. So Yom Kippur is the day of marriage. Let's skip forward. Then comes Sukkot. Sukkot is the 7 days of Sukkot represents like the 7 days of celebrating Shavuot. The seven days. The 7 days that was Moshe Rabbeinu was already established. We should celebrate 7 days of celebration after we get married. So Sukkot represents the 7 days, 7 blessings. It's a time that we say, okay, I'm committed to you, I'm married to you, I'm ready to spend time with you. And that's what you do Sukkot. Sukkot is just spending time, just to settle, to be. That's like the first step that you're ready to commit to someone is like, I'm here. We don't have to do anything. I'm sitting here. That's why Sukkot is Leisha B'Sukkah. Leisha B'Sukkah means lakava, to stop, just to be present. Just you eat, you drink, whatever you do. I'm here with you. I'm spending time with you, God. This is what the idea of Sukkot is. Shmini Atzeres, which is the day after Hoshanah Rabbah, the next day. Shmini Atzeres Machstoyer. The Medrash, the Zohar, everyone says that Shmini Atzeres is the time of the Yichud, the time of the unity. So there's the marriage, which is in Kippur. Let's talk about Sukkot. Sukkot is there's Chibuk, Nishuk, and Yichud. Chibuk, Nishuk, and Yichud Chibuk is the hug, on a very literal level, is the hug, the kiss, and the intimacy. So these 3 stages is Sukkot represents Yiminiti Chavkeni. Sukkot represents the divine hug. That's why a sukkah, the shape of a sukkah is like a hug, either a full beer hug, which is like a samach, which is a full circle with 4 walls, or like a chaf, which is the second letter of the word sukkah, which is a 3 letters. So you have a hug that you hold a person, you just extend your 2 hands, and that's why you hug. And then there's a one-handed hug. Like, so you have one's your body, the hand, and a little part of the other part of the hand, like a no. Like a hay, like the hay. Sukkah. Sin, samach, chaf, hay is the 3 types of hugs that you can give. You can give a full body hug, that you're fully surrounded, or you can give a chaf type of hug, you hold a guy like this, just 3 sides, or you can actually just give a 2.5 little hug. That's like the easier hug. So Sukkot represents the divine hug, right? Sukkot is the time of hug, which is the idea of chibuk. And in between that, and then there's a time of yichud, which is intimacy, which is anal malchut, me and the king are alone, which is a time of intimacy, which is Shmini Atzeres. That's why in Shmini Atzeres, before we get to Hoshanah Rabbah, Shmini Atzeres, we don't do nothing. There's nothing to do. Shmini Atzeres, there's no mitzvah. The mitzvah is la'atzor, to stop, because it represents a time of intimacy, which is a time of intimacy. There's no levushim, there's no garments, which means I don't need an item in order to get to you. On Sukkot, I need a little of an esrog, and Rosh Hashanah, I need a shofar. When there's intimacy, there's no garments. And there's no garments, there's nothing to do. It's just it's one-on-one. That's the idea of intimacy. That's what is Hoshanah Rabbah? So Hoshanah Rabbah is the time of the shikin, the time of kissing. What does it mean? So on Hoshanah, the custom of Hoshanah Rabbah is, so the Talmud, the Gemara says that it's chavod laravas, that you have to do something at chavod larav. What does that mean? So it's either minig neviim, either it's a custom from the prophets, or it's actually yesod neviim, that the prophets actually establish it. So the Rashi on the Talmud says that it actually means zanuim. You have to shake this aravas. You have to take an arava, which is like the willow branches, and do a special ceremony. They did this in the temple. We do this also with the aravas, with these branches. But the Rambam says that actually you have to slap it on the ground. You have to slap these things on the ground. What does that represent? So in general, Sukkot as a whole is a time that we're nidun alamayim, which means that there's a judgment for rain, for water. Okay, so it's like the judgment, particularly for water, is during this time period, during the time of Sukkot. Aravas, when we take these aravas, these willow branches, they're arvei nachal, like we said before. That the arvei nachal means that they particularly grow by the that they grow near a riverbank. Now, when you take these aravas and you beat them on the ground, what you actually do, if they have like some vapor in it, because it grew next to water, when you do, there's a certain type of release of a little bit water. something squeezed out of it. So if you slap this Arav on the ground, that's the custom to do the Hoshanah Rabbah. So you take these Hoshanas, you slap them 5 times, according to the Ari, because 5 Guras, you slap them 5 times on the ground. There's a certain type of release of a particular vapor. That vapor is like a little squeezing of the water, so to speak, squeezing out the water that exists within these branches, which symbolically represents as being the final day of Sukkot, the final day of the judgment of water, that we're sort of squeezing out from heaven, Kaviyachol, we're squeezing out the blessing of water. Okay, that's the ideas on one level. The Arizal teaches that the word Arava, the word willow brand, the vegetation that we actually used on Hoshana Rabbah, is 277, which is the same numeric value for the word zera. Zera, seed. Chazal, the sages in the Gemara Tainus, when talks about it, says that mitras bailadar, that rain is sort of the husband of the earth, which means it implants seed into the earth. It gives it water, and it gives it zera, it gives it like seed, which is water, and then it releases something, and it creates life. It creates vegetation. When we take this arava and we hit it on the ground, what we're actually doing is we're releasing zera, we're releasing a type of seed, a type of expression, but we're also doing in the process is we're allowing, through the hitting on the ground, we're allowing for another piece of the puzzle. The sages say that the aravas represent the lips, as the hadassim represent the eyes, and the heart as the esrog, and the spine as the lulav. So the aravas, these willows, if actually you look at them, they look like lips. When you hit the lips on the ground, they actually kiss each other. So it's not the idea of the hitting. You're actually creating the quiet kiss between these aravas, these lips, and it's releasing a certain vapor, like literally when a person kisses someone. So there's a zera, there's like a transmission of water that's being transmitted from one to the next. That's creating the bond between these two. The kiss creates the bond. This is the symbolic idea of what Hoshanah Rabbah is, and this is the secret. This is the secret. Why is it a secret? Because there's in terms of, like, we'll think about it in terms of a relationship, like with spouses. So the Gemara, Chazal, the sages, the Talmud speaks about this time of the night, a particular time of the night when it's very quiet in the world and everyone's asleep, and Isha Mesaperes in Baila, that the wife speaks to the husband, which is like, we'll translate this like, a pillow talk, something that two intimate people that are very together in the hiddenness of their own intimate space, they share their deepest fears, their deepest worries, their deepest desires. Something very, very deep. The Marsha in that Gemara and Bracha says that it's like Klal Yisrael talking to Hashem. That's the Misaperes and Baila. It's Klal Yisrael, the people of Israel, talking to God. So this is the secret of Hoshana Rabbah. Hoshana Rabbah is like this. Throughout Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and even Sukkot, everything that we do is very public. It's very public times. We come to shul in public, where we celebrate in public. Sukkot, everything's public. There's 70 offerings that represent the 70 nations. It's a very public display of relationship between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, us and Hashem. Then comes the secret night, the night before intimacy, the night before the Yichud, before Shemona Atzeres, is the night of Isha Mesaperes and Baila, but the husband speaks to the wife quietly, the wife speaks privately to the husband. That's the night of the Shikin. That's the reason why it's secret. It's secret because it's only between us and Hashem. And when it's between us and Hashem, the depth of this conversation is as follows: that Hashem tells us, you can tell me throughout all this time period of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, you're speaking about what the world needs, what we all need collectively. Slach lana v'ini chatanu. We have sinned. We dream. We want. This is like the very collective. And then right before the intimate moment, Hashem calls us privately, with no big fanfare, just us and Hashem, and says, "Tell me quietly, between this whisper into my ear, what is it that you really want? Forget about what you tell everyone in the outside world. Because in the outside world, when you want to be, I don't know, you want to be a big singer, I don't know, whatever you want to be, you want to be famous, whatever the name should give you, what you should need. And of course, you're doing it for parnasa, for livelihood, but it should happen. It should happen. But then when you're sitting with the most person that you're most intimate, stop playing that game. Okay, I got it. That's the game that you're playing because there's all these things you have to. But tell me really, what do you really want? Like, what is really in your heart of hearts what you really desire, what you really long for? What do you ask? What are you asking for? And that's the night of Hoshanah Rabbah. The night of Hoshanah Rabbah is the secret relationship that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has with us. And in that secret moment where it's quiet and doesn't mention Chazal, no one talks about it. It's a mysterious holiday. Yes, it's mysterious. It's not to be hidden. It's supposed to be hidden. In that quietness of the night, that's why Hoshanah Rabbah is really celebrated during the night. In a lot of the customs are done at night. Hoshanah Rabbah. It's in that quiet of the night. Hashem calls us over and says, "Okay, forget about what everyone's talking about. Let's have a private conversation. Tell me really what you want." And that's the madrega. That's the level of the neshikin of the kissing. The kissing that moment is like it's this minyan, and the kissing in on some level is even a higher madrega than yichud, on some level because the kissing is face to face. That's where the yichud happens on face to face. So there's a yichud that happens on the lower part of the body, which is connected actually to neshamas, to souls which are created. But the yichud that happens on the face to face level is the elam malachim, is created angels, according to the Rebbe. So there's a yichud of face to face, which is we can't create anything yet because that has to go into the lower parts of the body, which represents this lower parts, the lower structure. But in the face to face relationship, it's much deeper. You can look in the other person's eyes, which is really that's what Hashem's looking into our eyes. It says, "I want you to look me straight into the eyes and tell me what you really want, what you really desire, and I'm going to listen to you because I want to look into your eyes, and we're looking into each other's eyes." And that's the madrega of the Neshikim. So we're symbolically taking these willows that represent the mouth, and we're showing this gentle kiss. So on one hand, we're actually knocking out all the klipa, all the negativity. That's the external level. So it's making a lot of noise, and people thinking that you're banging negative things out. That's true, but if you look very deeply, underneath all the noise, there's actually two little willows branches, little leaves are kissing each other, because that represents that quiet moment. That's sometimes you need to create all the noise as a distraction to not see what's really going on. So the smacking of the Aravos is only so you think you're smacking and there's a lot of noise and people are getting involved, but what's really going on beyond the smack, beyond the noise, is that really gentle moment, that's really subtle, sweet moment between that neshikin, which represents that place of kiss, which is the relationship that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashem. That's the really intimate, and really real, and really face to face. That's Hoshanah Rabbah.
Thank you for listening to Rav Pinson's podcast. To submit questions or to sponsor a future episode, please email ravpinsonpodcast@gmail.com. The link is in the description below.